Everyone loves to talk about quitting your 9 to 5, escaping the rat race, escaping the matrix. But here's the brutal truth: most people just aren't ready to quit. And it's not because they can't, it's because they're scared. Scared to lose comfort, scared to bet on themselves, and scared to actually do the thing that could change their life. And look, I'm not here to tell you to quit your job tomorrow, but what I'm here to tell you is this: if you stay in your job out of fear, you'll regret it for the rest of your life. And I say this because I was in the exact same position and I went from 0 to 40K a month in under a year, and I'm still in this industry to this day. And I've actually gone on to help dozens of students make anywhere from 5, 10, 30, 40K a month in commissions that started off with having a 9 to 5. So in this video, I'm going to give you the honest breakdown of when you shouldn't quit, when you should quit, and how to make that jump into high ticket sales the right way. So let's get into it. Now, the first thing you have to understand is comfort is the slowest poison you'll ever taste. Most people don't hate their job enough to leave it, but they also don't love it enough to stay. And they live in this gray zone of, yeah, you know what? Everything's fine. And they tell themselves it's stability, but what it really is it's fear. And I've seen people stay in the same job for years, convincing themselves that, you know what, it's fine, it's secure. But the truth is, security, it doesn't exist. Your job can literally disappear overnight. I don't care if you're a doctor, engineer, 9 to 5, gas station worker, it literally doesn't matter. Your job can disappear overnight. And when it does, you'll wish you actually learned a skill that made you money on your own terms and not relying on a boss. I'll give you a really good way to explain this. Having a job is like sitting in a warm bath. Imagine a warm bath, okay? And it's slowly turning cold. At first, it's relaxing. Who doesn't love a warm bath? You feel safe, you feel comfortable, you don't want to move because it's nice and cozy. But over time, as the water cools down, your muscles tighten, that comfort turns into stagnation, and you don't even notice how numb you've become until one day you finally step out of the bathtub and you realize, damn, the world is so cold, and you get the chills because you feel like you've been sitting still for too long in cold water. And this is what I mean. Most people don't realize in what comfort zones they're living in until they actually come out of their job, right? Until that they quit their job. And then they realize that the real world is actually extremely harsh. So the main takeaway here is fear disguises itself in logic. And if you're staying somewhere just because it feels safe, you're already stuck. Sweet. Now, I'm not saying quit blindly, because that's the mistake most people make, is they quit before they even built their skill sets. Quitting too early doesn't make you brave. It makes you broke. And a lot of people think quitting equals courage. Now, in most cases, like depending on your scenario, it doesn't. However, in some cases, it would make sense. The courage is to stay disciplined while you're building your skill set on the side. And if you've got a full-time job right now, cool. Learn sales on the side, learn to network on the side, land an opportunity, and then go all into high ticket sales. Then go all in that opportunity. And this is what I tell all my students is, if you have a full-time job, always do high ticket sales on the side and land and network opportunities. And once you land that offer, quit your job and go all into it, because you'll probably make more money and have more freedom through high ticket sales itself than your full-time job. And I'll share a story with you. For context, one of my students, Isha, she started with me a couple months ago, and fast track now, she's doing around 9K a month and on track to do 15 to 20K. However, before she joined with me, she was a real estate agent assistant, working ridiculous hours. I'm talking like 12 hours a day in some cases, making $2,000 a month. Right? And one of her fears was to quit her job because she was getting that consistent 2K every single month. And one of the things that I told her was, at the end of the day, what's riskier? Is it riskier to stay where you are and just stay stuck working for someone else and making 2K a month? Or is it riskier to go all in and take that opportunity that you've landed and potentially make 5, 6, 7K a month? And obviously it worked out great for her and she's absolutely crushing it. And now she's looking back laughing, wondering why she even stayed in it in the first place. So again, it comes back to that comfort zone, right? And a really good analogy to explain this is, it's like jumping out of a plane. Most people romanticize the jump, right? They picture the rush of the wind, they picture the freedom, the thrill. But the truth is, if you haven't packed your parachute, the jump isn't freedom. It's free fall, right? So build your skills first is like checking every strap. It's checking every buckle. It's every fold in the parachute. And when you finally jump, you don't need to panic. You can have the confidence that you have the skill sets and you can glide. So main takeaways here is skill sets build freedom, and you don't quit first and figure out later. You build leverage first and then go all in. Sweet. And when you do decide to go all in, it's really important that you treat high ticket sales like an actual career and not a hobby. The amount of people that I see in this industry that treat online business like a side hustle, it blows my mind. You can't treat sales like a side hustle and expect a full-time income. This is where most beginners mess up. They treat sales like it's some quick cash grab and not a real profession. Sales isn't something that you just do. It's actually something that you become. You need to live it. You need to breathe it. You need to sharpen it daily, right? And I've had people tell me, like friends in my industry and people that I see that are beginners, that say, I'll do sales for a few hours after work and we'll see how it goes. Now, don't get me wrong, that's not bad at the start, but if that's the mentality you have coming in, those are the same people that quit 3 months later saying that it doesn't work. Of course it doesn't, because you never gave it your full attention. So yeah, another way to explain this and to give you guys an analogy is, I'm just thinking, imagine trying to swim while keeping one foot on the dock. You dip your toes in, you splash a bit, but you've never actually felt what it feels like to actually swim and move through water. And you're so terrified of letting go, so you never learn to float. Meanwhile, people are just diving headfirst into the water, and even if they flail at first and they mess around at the start, they end up gliding across the pool and figuring out how to swim anyway, while you're still debating on the pool deck if it's cold. Right? Of course you're not going to win because you haven't given it a shot. So the main takeaway here is sales rewards obsession and half-hearted effort gives half-hearted results. Sweet. Now finally, the truth is the biggest risk isn't quitting, it's actually staying the same. And this is something that I learned from my mentors and from seeing really successful people in this industry. You think quitting your job is risky? Try staying there for the next 40 years. People love to talk about security, but what's secure about relying on one paycheck? What's secure about trading your time for money forever? The real risk is waking up at 45 and realizing that you never bet on yourself. And the reason I say this is I've met people who are a lot older than me who have spent decades in the same job, and when I ask if they're happy, they always say, not really, but it's safe. I'm secure. And that sentence hits me harder than anything else. It's like watching life go by through the window of a moving train. Every year, there's new landscapes, there's new opportunities, there's new dreams, there's new experiences, and you just keep staring out the glass, telling yourself that one day you'll get off at the next platform. But you never do. And by the time you finally stand up to leave, the train's already miles past where you wanted to go in the first place. So the truth is, you'll never feel ready, but the one day you'll realize staying comfortable was the biggest risk of all time. And this is something that I've learned the hard way, and the best decision I ever made at 18 years old was deciding to take a leap of faith, quit my door-to-door sales job, and go all in and invest in a mentor. Best decision I made in my life. So yeah, again, I'm not making this video to hate on jobs. I think jobs are perfect. People that want security, that want comfort, go to a job. Like 100% it's good. I'm not hating on jobs at all. I think jobs serve good purposes. But should you quit your job for high ticket sales and online business? Well, the answer is yes, but not yet. Not until you've built the skill set, not until you've earned the right to take that risk. Because once you do, it's the best decision you'll ever make. You'll wake up with freedom, you'll wake up with purpose, and that income, it will actually reflect your effort. But it all starts with one thing, and that's the belief that you're capable of more than just a paycheck. And yeah, as always, what I'll do is I'll drop my Instagram in the description below. So if you have any questions or you're struggling to make a decision on if you should quit your job or not, and you want a second opinion, feel free to flick me a message on Instagram and I can help you as well. Other than that, I'll see you guys all in the next one. Peace.